Hello, and welcome to a video about investing in airlines during a pandemic. So, when this pandemic hit originally, airlines took an absolute hammering. In fact, if I actually show you, this is Air France KLM. So, Air France KLM is kind of one of the major airlines in the Netherlands, and it's a combination of Air France and KLM if you pick that up. Yeah, so when the first kind of thing started to happen in February, it was floating around €10 per share. I mean, it was kind of hovering around there, it was flirting with it a bit, but then after February, within the space of like 2 weeks, it plummeted and it lost 50% of its value in 2 weeks. Now, the lowest point that it got to was around 2.81, and currently, over the past little while, it's been floating back up around 5, and it's just kind of held it there. But even still, that's kind of a common trend with some of the main airlines. So, let's have a look at another one. Here you have American Airlines, which, if you actually have a look at the exact same time span, which is a year, February 2020 plummets and then just kind of slowly starting to increase. So, why are airlines probably such a really good bet? Well, my kind of reasoning behind it, and this could be completely wrong, is the fact that governments don't particularly like to let airlines fail. Because if airlines fail, then essentially tourism fails with it. And you have quite a lot of countries and companies that depend on tourism just, well, to keep their entire economy going. So when you have things like this pandemic, governments tend to pump quite a lot of money into the airlines while they are kind of stationary. And that's why you had that initial shock, because people just wanted to jump ship and they wanted their money out as soon as possible. They didn't know how long it was going to be until like the value went back to normal, so they just jumped ship and then everybody piled out and the price plummeted. And when it plummeted, it actually provided quite a good opportunity to buy it, because if you are patient enough, then over the long term, the likelihood is the price will go back to normal. And in this situation here, you have a drop from $29 at high all the way down to $14. So if it ever goes back to that $29 and things start to go back to normal, then you have essentially doubled your money. And you can also see for those first few months of 2020, like we were in complete lockdown, nothing was moving, no one was traveling, but then kind of coming into June, things started to open up again. So this is just coming into spring and summer, and people were getting ready to travel again. And I know what's kind of happening just now just feels endless, but it will eventually end, either with vaccines or it will just burn out. But this is quite predictable in the sense that if people here were more interested in buying the shares then, when things started to open up again, later on and further down the line, it's very likelihood that those same people will be interested in getting back in. So yeah, it might take a bit of time, but it is a fairly good and stable risk. Stable risk isn't really a thing, but yeah, it's for me and kind of my reasoning behind it, it seems like a fair assessment. Now, I could be completely wrong, and if I am completely wrong, then I'm sure people will tell me. But yeah, if you actually look at it logically and just think of human behavior, it makes sense. So this is what I bought. I bought Air France and KLM, and I bought it around €3 per share. Now I'm European. Well, after Brexit, I think I can still say I'm European. I live in the Netherlands, so my money and currency is in euros. So I bought this for around €3.5 per share, and it's actually seen some pretty steady increases. Now, it may not be going and rocketing up, and it may not be going up very quickly, but it's kind of holding around 5, and it's been holding around 5 kind of as things with Corona have been kind of a bit uncertain. But as I was saying, this is quite a long term bet. It's not something that I'm planning on selling tomorrow. If I sell it in a year or 2 years down the line, that's also okay. My main goal is just to get it to around 10, because if it goes to around 10, then I've increased it by around 66%. And I genuinely do believe that it will go back to around 10, because if you look past over the past 5 years before all this crap happened with the corona, it was holding kind of consistently around 10, 12, yeah, so average around 9, 10. And yeah, after the corona, it could be another story. Like, this could go completely tits up and I could lose all my money. And that's okay, because I haven't invested in anything I'm not willing to lose. And I did it kind of off the understanding that I can be patient with it. And the fact that governments aren't really likely going to let airlines fail. And I can actually kind of show you that. This is an article from KLM essentially thanking the Dutch government for giving them 2 to 4 billion euros. In fact, this was the first time they received the payment. They've actually received it more than once, and it doesn't really give it a good look for the fact that it is receiving support from the government, and it does kind of turn off a lot of investors. But what it kind of tells me is the fact that the government isn't really going to let it go completely tits up. And yes, of course, it's going to have quite a lot of debt and it's going to have to pay it back. But when things start to open back up with Corona, which please, please do, I have a feeling that quite a lot of people are going to want to go on holiday, because I really want to go on holiday. I'm a bit sick of sitting in the house all day, and getting some sunshine would be nice. Flying with KLM. And it's not just KLM, it's going to be other airlines as well, but and think of it like that sense. Think of it like people are going to want to start travelling again, and the airlines are going to be there, and they may charge more, but if airlines charge more and make more money, then if you're invested in them, then you have the potential to make money as well. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night, and I will see you next time.